That seems to absolutely great, James. Are you going to push it on there?
How long is it saying?
It seems to be...
7 minutes. Ugh. Seriously, world's slowest USB stick. Really need to get him a quicker one than that, I think. Okay, we're going to go grab some lunch. I've spent the entire morning editing my dad's video. It's all about Arctic warfare. And then when my mother has gone back to wherever it is she's come from, I'm going to hopefully talk to you guys about the massive, humongous step forwards that electrically propelled vehicles present in terms of from a design point of view, and why I strongly believe that over time they are going to be hugely cheaper than anything that has ever powered mankind along before. That's what I reckon. Yes. Well, cheaper? Well, maybe not cheaper than a donkey. A cheap donkey. Look what I just got in the post.
Very old.
Oh yeah. Oh, is it story time?
Baby giggle.
That's not a proper book, Jasper. Get a proper book. Okay, let's have a look at this Zoom H1. This is going to hopefully solve my sound issues in certain locations.
My name's Jules, I'm now for the Blood Project.
Oh, nice little device. Looks good, hopefully it will work. I have a bit of a problem because I'm running out of these lithium-ion AA batteries and I don't know where to find any more, but they're brilliant because they last forever. There we go, all set. Should be recording. So if I'm giving an interview, especially with the small camera, the sound's not great, so I'm hoping this is going to help me out. This is my new microphone for when I'm out and about and I've got a camera without a proper mic on it like this one. Drive carefully.
I will do.
Thank you for your help, by the way.
Thank you.
I hope the video is good and everyone enjoys watching it. Mondays seems to be when the videos go up, 6-ish?
About then.
About 6-ish. So all about Arctic warfare. Bye bye. Now I've got a little bit of my own video editing to do. Okay, this is too cool. I'm gonna have to see if this works. I've just installed or enabled an Alexa skill called My Valet, because what I really like about that is I can just walk into the kitchen and tell it to turn on the aircon in the morning and then I'll have a nice warm car. That's what I'm hoping. Let's see if it works. You know what? I'm gonna bleep out the word so that I don't set off everybody else's Echo Dot. Ask My Valet to turn on the aircon.
Aircon now on.
Now I'm going to use the app to see if it's actually on. That is so cool. Ask My Valet how much charge the car has.
The current charge level is 70%. That's about 165 miles.
Boom! Okay, now I am seriously excited. Oh man, it's gone and got itself all late. Ugh. I hate it when that happens. I just need to get a little something from the back of my car. Because this is going to help me with today's video. Although, in fairness, I'm not actually going to get to ride it. But I don't like to leave it in the back of the car for too long anyway. So what does this have to do with an electric car? This is kind of a little bit like a two-stroke engine. If you look inside, what you find is a big battery and a control board that controls charging that battery and also sending the power out to the three-phase brushless direct current motors. And it's a little bit more inefficient than obviously what you'll find in an electric car. But fundamentally, the principles are all there. Just the same way as the principles are all there in a two-stroke engine versus a four-stroke engine. It's just the four-stroke is more complicated, usually more expensive, quite a bit more efficient, and exactly that way you've got a DC motor and power system, which is basically a less efficient version of a alternating current drive system, which is what you'll find in your electric car, your Tesla, your Nissan Leaf, what have you. Basically anything that's not a milk float. That's why I reckon the price of electric vehicles can tumble a huge amount because of the humongous quantity of simplicity. Even when you have an electric car with an alternating current drive system and a much bigger battery, fundamentally there aren't a huge amount more parts than there are in an electric skateboard. What makes them expensive at the moment is that the batteries are expensive. But that isn't something that I'm expecting is going to continue to be the case long term. I think as the production and manufacture really shifts into industrial scale, battery prices are just tumbling and tumbling and tumbling until actually electric cars cost less than their petrol or diesel counterparts. And at that point, it's just game over for anything that isn't electric drive. With the notable exception of things that are basically just for fun. I mean, when petrol and diesel came along, it was basically game over for horses, but that doesn't mean people stop riding. It just meant they do it for fun rather than, you know, because they want to get to the shops. I mean, when was the last time you took a horse to the shops? And those economies of scale are something that I really do believe is coming. I think that's one of the reasons why Tesla invests so much money in its growth, because it can see that when those economies start to build up on each other, you are going to wind up with a cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and a better and better and better product. If you want a super powerful electric car, it's just a case of a big battery, which you need anyway so that you can do a half decent range, a big inverter, and a big motor. But the size is, you know, kind of relative. They're not actually that much physically bigger. They're just a bit more meaty, a bit better designed. Bigger capacitors, thicker wires, that sort of thing. Now contrast that to what you get with a powerful petrol engine with a supercharger, or even a naturally aspirated one, and compare the additional complexity that goes into that versus a really cheap runaround. And even the really cheap runaround is actually ridiculously complex when you actually look at it. So is it any wonder that the manufacturing tolerances need to be so tiny? The key bit here is you've got like one moving part when it comes to an electric drivetrain, as opposed to a petrol engine where you've got hundreds, if not thousands. And it's that complexity that leads to it being unreliable, expensive to produce, and just generally not going to be the future of anything much. Quite apart from the fact that the fuel is going to wind up being really quite overpriced quite quickly. The second we can no longer just pump it straight out the ground, oh my word, the prices are going to go. Consumer electronics have a long, proud history of getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper at an astonishing rate. And although batteries do require quite a lot of extra raw materials, shall we say, versus a microprocessor, I think the fundamentals of their production are similar enough that the price has got a long way further to drop. I think it's probably about time I actually sorted Jasper out with some supper now. So, what makes electric vehicles potentially so cheap is the simplicity of the design. So I need to be a little bit quiet because I've just put Jasper to sleep and we don't want to wake him up. So what do I mean when I say simplicity of the design? Well, obviously, I mean simplicity, but specifically the fact that batteries are basically uniform, or at least the cells that make up a battery are produced identically, means that you can fine-tune that production process to get every last little ounce of efficiency out of it. And what that means is that over time you find ways to do things in a slightly cheaper fashion. The point is they've got something they can work on which can eventually lead to an extremely streamlined production process. And it's all due to that simplicity. It goes back to that basic design. And then of course you've got things like the inverter. Well, that is just electronics, and electronics are one of those things that if they are mass produced, they tend to be dirt cheap in basically no time at all. And when it comes to electric motors, well again, they are very simple, and because they're quite small, you can often use the same one for multiple jobs. I mean, for example, take the Teslas with the dual motors. Unless you go for the performance one, what you wind up with is a car with the same motor in the front as in the back, and almost certainly the same kind of inverter in the front as in the back. So from Tesla's point of view, it just produces two of them, which makes that production process extremely simple. I'm going to call it a day now because I need a slightly easier to edit video, I think. It's been quite a busy weekend for me. So I hope you've all enjoyed today's video. If you have, remember to like it and share it and subscribe if you haven't already. And follow me on Instagram if you don't already. And I will see you tomorrow for the next installment of my daily vlog. Bye. Oh, I'm actually gutted, believe it or not, that winter is over. That sounds crazy. Those words sound crazy coming out of my mouth, but I am genuinely not happy that winter is over, because I'm not going to get to use this new amazing skill properly until like summertime when it's boiling hot.